Hey, I'm Josh Anderton. You're listening to the Getting to Ramen podcast. So, this is the very first episode, and I just thought well, to be honest, the way that my brain works, it's taken me three or four tries to get to a point where I've finally gotten something that I want to actually put out there as the first episode. And so this one may not even make it in. We'll see. So as you can hear, cars in the background, I'm going to be recording this podcast on my commute to and from my day job. But this podcast is about the software as a service companies that I'm working on. Currently, Upscribe, which is lead generation forms that are embeddable on medium.com, and soon other products, which I'll be talking about as I move forwards in this podcast. But first, with this episode, I kind of wanted to just kind of like establish what it's about and see if I sound like an idiot or if it's cohesive at all. And so this is really just an experiment at this point. But basically, the name of the podcast, I decided to name it Getting to Ramen because essentially it's this podcast is specifically about me trying to get to a point where I'm running a company that's profitable, where I'm able to work on it full time and provide for my wife and my two boys, and really doing it as a doing it. I'm trying to balance these things, right? So I'm not the only person that's trying to do this. So part of this is hopefully being able to relate to other people that are in the same position. Go through. I might have some insight for people that are in the same position. Also may just be able to show you some things you're not supposed to do that don't work. And so either way, I'll give this a shot. But I thought kind of with this episode, I would just talk a bit about why I chose SaaS and why I decided to do this in the first place. And so I won't go too far back because, to be honest, I don't really enjoy podcasts where people talk about their childhood in depth and go off on tangents. You are a busy person and don't have time for my rabbit trails, so I'm gonna try my best to just kind of get to the point as much as possible. That being said, I process things verbally, so there may be times where I have to say things a couple of times to communicate it correctly, or in my opinion correctly. So basically I got into SaaS when I was 18 because I was in a rock band and came to the realization that I wasn't going to be able to make a living at it. Oh my goodness. So when I got home from a tour we did in Europe, I kind of decided, okay, I got to start. Actually, this was a little bit before that. So kind of during the band years, I was trying to start a website called One Buy and Sell, which was inspired by the concept of at the time kayak.com had just launched and gotten huge with so I thought, hey, I'll build, instead of a curated, or not curated, but kind of one place to search flights and hotels, what if you just were able to go to one place and search Amazon, Craigslist, and eBay? I thought that was just genius. And of course, don't need to get into the story. I'm sure I'll be able to cover it a bit more in the future. But I ended up, because I didn't know how to build websites, other than some basic CSS that I had learned from building the actual MySpace pages for bands that I knew and my own band. I decided to outsource it. So I just read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, and this was ultimately why I was like, I gotta build something that doesn't take any time to maintain and is gonna make me millions of dollars, and work little to no time at all in the week. And so I ended up outsourcing it and learned a lot about that process. I had a development team in India build it, and it was fun. They were working on it at night, and I wake up and they made progress, sometimes in the totally wrong direction, but still progress was happening while I was sleeping. So I just thought, this is like the best. This is so cool. And launched it, made no money, but learned realized that this is what I want to do. Somehow I want to figure out how to make a living while I'm sleeping. So that's where I started, realized I want to have more control over the process. So started looking for developers nearby, couldn't find anyone. And that's when I started to learn how to code. And so through a bunch of failures over the next few years, which like I said, I can get into maybe another time if this if this show even gets that far. I ended up launching a tool called Upscribe, and Upscribe is, like I said, it's a tool for building forms that are embeddable rather than taking HTML and having to place it. There's certain websites where you just can't put embedded code, and so it's using the same kind of technology as embedding a video, the OEmbed API, and letting you embed a form in an iframe on Medium. And so that's been what I've kind of been working on the side as I've been working at a day job. So I work at a marketing agency in Fort Langley, Canada. It's called Glass Canvas, and I really enjoy working there and doing mainly front-end development while I'm also running my software company on the side. And I also live 15 minutes from there. That's where the why I'm making this podcast during the commute, and you can hear cars going by. So the Upscribe has, over the last 3 years since I launched it, it's grown to $5,000 a month, about $5,000 a month in revenue, and about 14,000 people have signed up, and about 600, my intercom dashboard tells me that I've got 600 monthly active users generally. So that's been a blast. I built it in WordPress, just moved it over to Laravel recently, and I've learned a ton about just all the different hats you have to wear as a software solo founder, and learning about marketing, growth hacking, which is just digital marketing. I don't even know if that's loud. I don't even know if growth hacking is a term appropriate to use online anymore. So anyways, I learned a ton and really enjoyed it, and decided that, man, this is definitely what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so that's kind of where I got into SaaS. So I'm like, there's other pieces to it. Like I don't want to work hourly. I don't want to trade my time for money. I wanted to be able to provide software as a service, and it's something that provides value to people whether or not I have access, or whether or not they have access to me. And so that's kind of why I'm doing it in the first place. It's bringing in extra money to care for my family and takes pressure off that way. And but it's monthly. It's it's monthly recurring, and so there's just like, it's slowly, like I said, it's taken 3 years to get to $5,000, which is about half or twice as long as the average software company generally grows. But it doesn't drop very fast. It slowly rises, and then it'll slowly drop, and then it'll slowly rise. And there's just as much of an emotional roller coaster during that process, which I'll also get to talk about, hopefully. But for the most part, it's consistent, and it's more reliable, and that's another thing that I really enjoy. But that's the nature of Bootstrap, which is another thing I want to talk about, is the type of software as a service company that I want to build. So if you, and I should have prefaced with this, but I definitely won't be talking about Silicon Valley kind of startups, or unicorn goofiness, or taking millions of dollars in funding and showing revenue, and like, that's not the type of company I want to run. I want to run profitable business from the beginning. I want to run a small remote team. I want to take advantage of all the benefits of running software. You don't need hundreds of people running it. There's example of companies who keep a small team and are making millions of dollars a month, and so that's where I want to go. So if that's interesting to you, then hopefully you'll keep listening. Otherwise, I'm sorry that I wasted your time with these few minutes. But that's the direction that I want to take this podcast. Getting to ramen, the name's taken from the term, ramen profitable. I think I already said that. And so this will be that journey for me, as I'm still not there yet. And so hope you enjoy it. Hope this is something that kind of vibes with you. Would love to hear from you if it does. So I'm Josh, and we'll see where this goes.